بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صباح الخير والنور والسرور. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, good morning. We're here to talk about Gulf security, and one of the most important pillars of security is food security. Over the years, the UAE has gained its food security, and also many of the other Gulf countries, in putting a lot of investment in the infrastructure, in ports, in airlines, to make sure we are ensuring volumes of food are coming into the country, and therefore then making sure that the citizens have the accessibility of food. And our wise leadership, they have foresight in their DNA, and they understand that having this high dependency on imports is a good thing, but in future there are challenges that lie ahead that we have to be ready so that we're not just food secure today, but also in the future. Now, what is the definition of food security? So it's enabling citizens and residents to have accessibility to safe, nutritious, sufficient food for an active and healthy lifestyle at all times. And it has to be affordable too. So this is the definition of food security. Many times when I ask people what they understand with food security, many of them talk about agriculture, or they talk about strategic storages, but it's so much more than that. It's also the way we eat, what we put in the bin, food safety, all that lies in the umbrella of food security. Now, why is food security a global issue, and why do we have to make sure we are ready for what's coming in future? We've all heard we're going to be reaching the 9 billion number of people by 2050. So as population is growing, traditional farming methods can't keep up, and therefore a food gap starts to exist. So having the food gap, and also this is exacerbated by climate change effects, which we're all feeling at the moment. I don't know if you all, I saw it myself when I was in Europe this summer. Most of the parks that are usually lush green have become yellow. So we're feeling climate change now, and the food production sector is feeling it even more. So those two challenges, plus water depletion, we are in a region where we are water-scarce countries here, so we have managed our accessibility to water through desalination. But globally, you're seeing more and more countries are facing desertification and water depletion, and we are connected to them through our global food supply. And I talked about another global issue, it's food loss and food waste. 1/3 of the food that's being produced globally is going to waste. And at the same time, over 800 million people are going to bed hungry every night. So there's a clear problem we have in the distribution. At the moment, there is enough food for all, but it's not reaching everybody. But as population grows and traditional agriculture cannot keep up, we're going to be facing an even more problem in the future. So what do we have to do? There's two systems we have to disrupt: how we produce food and how we are consuming food. What I mean with consuming food, it's what we're actually putting in our mouths, what we're feeding our families, and what we're putting in the bin. So these are the two systems that we have to disrupt. I'm sure a lot of you have come across disrupting systems, so this is what we have to do in the food security domain. Now, His Highness appointed me as the first minister in the world of food security two years ago. He told me three things. He said, Mariam, we need a plan, we need to adopt technology, and we need to advance R&D. So my team and I got to work. The first thing, we worked on a plan. But before starting the plan, we wanted to identify what are we eating? What is our food basket in the UAE? We have over 200 nationalities in the UAE. Everyone has their own cultures, everyone has their own tastes, their own likes. So we had to identify what is our food basket in the UAE, and therefore we have 18 main food items. This is quite a lot compared to other countries who have a lot less, but it's because we have such a large number of nationalities and cultures and tastes in the UAE. So with that, we identified from this food basket, what are the food items that we can actually grow domestically enabled with technology, and what doesn't make sense, what's not commercially viable. In the UAE, we have grown wheat before, but at what price? No one's going to buy it, it's too expensive. So there's certain foods that doesn't make sense to grow in the UAE yet. Therefore, this is the strategy. Number one, it's about facilitating agribusiness and ensuring that we are bringing foods not only from 2 or 3 countries, but we're diversifying from where we're bringing our food sources. Number two, it's about what can we grow in the UAE enabled with technology. And you'll be really proud to see that nowadays we can grow quinoa, we can grow salmon, we can grow all the vegetables. There's now berries in the market grown in the UAE. So the UAE has come a long way now in using technology to grow domestically. Reducing food loss and food waste is a pillar on its own because it has so much importance. We in the Gulf region actually have the highest food loss and food waste percentage. So we have to work really hard to ensure that we cut this by 50% by 2030 in line with the SDGs. Number 4, it's about food safety and improving nutrition. What I mean by improving nutrition intake is that we need to ensure we're giving you tools, nudging you to make better choices when you eat. And I'll show you some examples of some of the initiatives we have started. Number 5, it's about enhancing our food security response system. So because we are very much independent on imports, we are very much dependent on the global food supply chain. So we need to be ready for disruptions in the global food supply chain and have plans B and C ready so that when there is a disruption, we have plans in place so that everyone still has accessibility of food. Now, with any strategy, you have the strategic directions, and these are the enablers. A food security governance model, and alhamdulillah, end of December, the cabinet approved the Emirates Food Security Council, which I'm honored to lead, along with my colleagues from the different ministries and local authorities who all have some role to play in the food security domain. The R&D agenda, this is about aligning all research and development that's being done in the UAE when it comes to food security. And this is where, of course, we hope to also work more closely with Professor Jamal al-Suwaidi and his team at the Emirates Center for Strategic Reserve Studies and Research. And with that, we want to align everything that everyone's doing on food security so that when somebody wants to do some research or find out some data, they can find it on one platform. Actually, we have just a week ago launched the food research platform, which is now online for everyone to use, and we're going around and making sure universities and study centers and research institutes are putting their research in there so you've got a one-stop shop for R&D. Food security database. We need to ensure that for any policies we have sound data. Any investors need to also know what data, like if I want to grow tomatoes in the UAE, how much are we importing, what are the prices in the market. So this is a sound database to make sure we have all data related to food security in one place. Human capacity. This is something very dear to my heart because we can enable technology, we can do so many things, but if we don't have the right people to use the technology or the right human capacity to be able to move the things we want to move, then we can't get anywhere. I often, when I talk to the youth in any youth circles, I don't address them as I'm looking for the next farmer. I give them a new name. I said, I'm looking for an agri-technologist. I need to give it a cool spin. I need to give it something that the youth can see, oh, this is really exciting. I think I want to do this. So the fifth one is food movement. And what we mean here is how we can shift a behavior change, how we can shift the way we're eating now. We're very much about fast and convenience. Families don't spend time in the kitchen anymore. Families don't spend quality time sitting together and socializing when they're eating. So there's a lot we have to do in changing our behavior, which takes time because this is also a culture shift as well. So with that, this is the plan. And this is a glimpse on the Emirates Food Security Council, just to show you who is within the council. So these are all the ministries and representatives from local governments, and also a representative from the youth, to make sure that we are all implementing the strategy and discussing anything related to food on a holistic approach. And this is the new logo of the Emirates Food Security Council. Now I want to talk about adopting technology. Now, something that was really important for the private sector, when I first took this file, I saw that we weren't adopting ag tech or agriculture technology as fast as I would like to see it. So I gathered the private sector and I said, what are the barriers that we have in the system that we have to remove so that you can adopt ag tech faster? And it was really an exciting time for me because, okay, we had over 100 challenges that time when I did the think tank with them. So I got the dairy sector together, the aquaculture, the horticultural sector together, and I asked each of them, what are the barriers? From these 100 barriers, we selected 7 which came across all of them. I'll give you an example. If somebody wants to set up a farm to grow, let's say, capsicum, they said, I need 6 or 7 licenses for me to open up this company. This is a lot on someone who's just starting. It's a big capex cost just for the licensing fees. So we made sure that we said one of the solutions we have to do is to make one unified agriculture license across the UAE, which has all the legal activities, so that anyone who undertakes something that's food producing has it all under one license. So this is just an example of one of them. And we used the government accelerator for it, and we called it the Ag Accelerator. And with that, in the presence of His Highness, we launched 10 initiatives. And in a way, we opened up a new economic sector for the UAE, removing some just basic barriers that were in the system. So there were no ag tech building codes, for example. So if someone wanted to set up a farm in a closed system, there was no standards for it. So now there are standards. There's a unified agricultural license. We also got the finance sector to help put an agricultural loan guarantee together. So these are a few of the initiatives that we launched, and we did this with the private sector. So I suddenly had 100 employees, and in 100 days we were able to launch these initiatives. And now you see these kind of technologies in the UAE. We've got two high-tech greenhouses using vertical farm system. We've got advanced robotics. We've got aquaculture RAS systems. These are growing now salmon, sea bass, sea bream, hamur, shrimps, and what's coming up soon is as well sichel, cobia as well. So we're seeing a lot of new technologies that are being enhanced for the environment so that we can actually grow a lot of our food in the UAE. What do I mean now by advancing R&D, which was the third direction given by His Highness? I just want to show you, again, the political will behind why it's, so we all know you are the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research, how important research and development is. So Abu Dhabi rolls out 1 billion dirham incentive scheme to support agri-tech companies. We also had an announcement, Emirates Airlines is now building the world's largest vertical farm for its own needs. So Emirates Catering Group, they need to make 250,000 meals a day. And with that, they use a lot of perishable items such as leafy greens and tomatoes. And they found now it's commercially more viable for them to have their own farm than to buy from the market. Okay, so we can see now technology is now becoming more commercially viable to grow your own food. And the last I've heard is that hopefully by Expo, the farm will be ready and the first harvest will come out of it. Also another announcement made by His Highness, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, and that the UAE will be investing 5.6 billion dirhams into R&D for water security and food security as well. So these, I had one more research, yes, the new research authority formed in Abu Dhabi has also identified these 5 areas as priority areas, and food security is one of them. This is just to show you these are all announcements made in the last few months, showing that the UAE is now putting a lot more effort in the R&D domain, which is something we were a little bit lacking in previous years. I wanted to share with you some of the initiatives that our office have taken. One thing we have to remember, food security is not only a government and private sector responsibility. It's all of us, every single one of us. Our decision we make when we go to the supermarket, what we cook at home, how we cook at home, what we put in the bin, all affects the food security of the country. And so we launched a food tech challenge in the presence of His Highness Sheikh محمد bin Rashid Al Maktoum to act as a catalyst to encourage communities and individuals to look into what food security is and how we can solve some of our challenges on the community and household level. So I think so far we've had about 1,000 registrations. From them, about 450 have qualified as being analyzed, and hopefully in April we'll be announcing the winners. So what's really great about this is we got the whole world thinking to solve some of the issues we have in the food supply chain for hot, arid countries such as the UAE. And another thing that the cabinet approved last year as well was the nutritional labeling policy. I don't know how many of you are nutritionists out there, but if I look at a label, a food product, and go to the supermarket, I don't know if 2 grams of sugar is high or 3 grams of salt is at high or low. So with this, we actually have given you a tool to be able to make a better choice, because red will mean this is high, orange will mean don't have too much of it, and green means you're okay to have this, or more quantities of this. So this is at the moment voluntary, and in January 2022 it will be compulsory. Okay, so this is the kind of nudging we're trying to do with the community. We also worked with the UAE University on an industry open day. This was an initiative we did to try and get the students to have some hands-on experience on what agtech is in the UAE. So we brought agtech companies from the UAE. They all did a kind of TED Talk presentation to the students, saying what they're actually doing, what they're producing, and with what technologies. The students had a chance to ask questions, and at the end, all the companies, these are all UAE-based companies, signed a pledge saying any of you students who wants to come and do work experience in your spring holidays, summer holidays, winter holidays, you're welcome to do so. And in that way, we're sort of doing the matchmaking, but also giving the students a taster of what it is in working in agtech nowadays. So these are just some glimpses of the. We also worked with the Ministry of Health to make a national nutritional guideline. This is something very important because there's so much information in the internet. What can we eat? What's good for us? What should the macronutrients be? What's the percentage? We also, in the Gulf countries, we have different DNA than other countries. So we needed to understand what makes sense to eat in the environment we're in. So with all those efforts, alhamdulillah, we were able to jump 10 spots on the Global Food Security Index. Now, His Highness, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, always tries to make sure that there is a competitive index with which we're comparing ourselves to so that we can compare ourselves with other countries. This Global Food Security Index is an index that's hosted by The Economist, the intelligence unit of The Economist. And when we started, we were ranked 31. Our aim was, by 2021, to be amongst the top 10, hopefully to become number 1 before 2051. And with the efforts we have already put in the last year and a half, we've been able to jump 10 spots, which is a great achievement. And this was not only because of what we're doing, but it was a unified and a joint concerted effort with all the stakeholders. And for me, it's very important that His Highness always says we are nation designers. And being a nation designer, we have to know where it is we want to go to. There needs to be a target. We need to work together. We need to work in partnership. We have now signed also agreements with Saudi Arabia, with Bahrain, all in food security domains to work together, because food security is a very important pillar of Gulf security. And we all have similar challenges when it comes to the environment and the climate. And we all have to work together, because we will not have this availability of food coming in on a daily basis with all the challenges that are coming up. It won't be as smooth in the future. And we're already feeling these disruptions. So it's really important that we have a plan and we start working on it so that in future we also can enjoy food security. Thank you very much.